Welcome back, friendly neighbors and Spidey fanatics. Today we're going to be looking at the 10 most interesting Spider-Man romances. Spider-Man has had countless affairs with different types of women, both as the crime-fighting wall crawler and as the job-struggling Peter Parker. While not all of them were long-term or even serious love affairs, they're still considered canon on this list. And without further ado, let's start some gossip about Spider-Man's love life. In the Ultimate Universe, Peter Parker and Mary Jane were on a temporary break from their relationship. During that time, Peter finds a rebound in the X-Men's Kitty Pryde, aka Shadowcat. After one date at the mall, some crime fighting, and a passionate kiss, he and Kitty start getting serious. But since Kitty was a full-time member of the X-Men and Peter was the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, the relationship took its toll. Eventually, both crime-fighting lovers called it quits after Peter and Mary Jane started to work things out. Even after the breakup, Kitty still had a soft spot for Peter. It's weird to think that Peter Parker could date someone like Captain Marvel, isn't it? Spider-Man and Captain Marvel didn't exactly become the most intimate of lovers, but they did agree to go on a date with each other at some point. During an investigation where Carol needed dirt on Norman Osborn to take him down as the Green Goblin, Peter stepped in and helped her. Afterwards, Carol treated Peter to a fancy, expensive dinner. However, the date was cut short because, well, crime never sleeps. After the battle, they both sat on a rooftop together and ate chili dogs while looking out at the city. Cool date idea now that I think about it. Betty Brant first met Peter Parker while she served as J. Jonah Jameson's secretary at the Daily Bugle. The two were very close colleagues, and then that developed into friends, and then into lovers. However, Betty had a very bad distaste for Spider-Man since she blamed him for the death of her brother at the hands of Dr. Octopus. As Peter's life became more busy as Spider-Man, so did Betty's as a reporter. She was instrumental in uncovering the identity of the Hobgoblin. Betty and Peter's relationship was nothing too special, but it was cute while it lasted. This relationship might sound familiar to fans who watched the Spectacular Spider-Man TV show in 2008. Liz was the girlfriend of high school star athlete Flash Thompson and had little to no interest in Peter. Liz took a liking to Peter after he helped her pass a couple of tests in high school. Peter's natural intelligence made Liz rethink her relationship with Flash, and she grew even more attracted to Peter. During that time, Peter was balancing a crush on Gwen Stacy, but when Liz confessed her love to Peter on New Year's Eve, she won his heart. Oh, so sweet! Anyway, Peter and Liz's romance was hot and strong until some life events happened in Peter's life as Spider-Man that caused the breakup between the two high school sweethearts. You lost a good one, Peter. After Peter and Mary Jane's marriage comes to an end, Peter becomes romantically involved with Carlie Cooper. Funny enough, it was actually Mary Jane who prompted Peter to pursue the intelligent brunette. After a passionate kiss during a costume party, Peter and Carlie become more serious for a number of months. The relationship wasn't a stable one since Peter wasn't always around due to his superhero lifestyle, which Carlie didn't know anything about. She just assumed it was always work. While Peter and the Fantastic Four were off fighting the Sinister Six, Carlie almost angrily got a Green Goblin tattoo. She went with a Spidey one in the end. However, it wasn't enough to save the relationship, as things ended pretty quickly after that. Fun note, during the time where Doc Ock took over Peter's body, Carlie was the only one to notice it and figure it out. So this one is kind of weird. During the Superior Spider-Man storyline where Dr. Octopus has taken over Peter Parker's body, Doc Ock takes an interest in Anna, and her intelligence becomes very intriguing to the supervillain. They become so infatuated with each other that Doc Ock, as Peter, even considers proposing to her. When Peter eventually gets his body back, Anna takes the news extremely well and even helps Peter get back on his feet. And even helps him run his business. She even went as far as to cover for him when he has to go be Spider-Man. Now that is the definition of ride or die. Cindy Moon, aka Silk, was a well-kept secret from Spider-Man's life. Cindy was there on the same day that Peter got bit by a radioactive spider. The only difference is that Cindy was immediately captured by the vampire Lord Morlan. When Peter eventually found and freed Cindy, she took off running and was finally free. During this encounter, both Peter and Cindy felt this sexual urge for each other and became very physical very fast. Whew. Turns out that when two people are both bit by the same radioactive spider, they both feel the need to, Needless to say that this quickly turned into a very sexual romance. While they didn't get into a relationship because of Peter's very complicated life and Cindy's quest to find her parents, we would still like to know more about the new female web-slinger. Spider-Man and Black Cat have the most on and off relationship in all of Marvel. While Black Cat does bring out the ruthless and wild side of Spider-Man, his moral compass is usually what drives the two away from each other. Black Cat straddles both sides of the law, sometimes working for Kingpin, Venom, or even Doc Ock, while helping Peter before making out with him on a city rooftop. Black Cat has revealed that she's in love with Spider-Man, not the boy underneath the mask. She's not the most trustworthy person, but Spider-Man still has hope for the cat-clawed vigilante. The tragic love that never ended well. Gwen Stacy was Peter's first official love. During a fight with the Green Goblin, Gwen was thrown from the Brooklyn Bridge. When Peter tried to catch her with his web, he accidentally snapped her neck due to whiplash. The death was so hard on Peter that he swore off trying to find love again. However, Peter did meet Gwen Stacy again, in another dimension in the form of Spider-Gwen, aka Ghost Spider, aka Spider-Woman. While this wasn't a kindling romance, it still gave Peter much needed clarity in trying to get over his first love's death. Of course she's number one. Mary Jane and Peter Parker are almost as iconic as Superman and Lois Lane. Mary Jane started off as Peter's high school crush and then turned into Peter's greatest love. They were on and off for a lot of their relationship due to Peter's life as Spider-Man. You would think that Mary Jane learning that Peter Parker is Spider-Man would help things a lot more. But you'd be wrong. Instead, it became more of a struggle for Mary Jane to remain on the sidelines while Spider-Man was out fighting villains and saving the day. In fact, it often ended up that Spider-Man needed to save Mary Jane after she tried to get involved. Ultimately, the two eventually did get married, and Peter devoted most of his time to be there for his wife and have a family together. While Peter may have a lot of attractive women to get with, he will always come back to his one true love. Always. And that is 10 of Spider-Man's most interesting romances. Let us know in the comments if you want us to cover any more of Spidey's spicy love life. And I just want to say, as soon as they announced that Gwen Stacy was going to be the love interest in The Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield, I knew right then that they were going to kill her off at the end of the second movie.